Ignorance has been our biggest oppressor for centuries in this country. Financial literacy, credit building, business scaling, personal development. We Mexican Americans have never had access to those resources.
You know the difference between ignorance and stupidity? So if you're ignorant and you do something dumb and it hurts, you don't do it again, okay? If you're stupid and you do something dumb, you're dumb enough to do it again. Now, the problem now with remaining ignorant is, are you tired of complicated business advice that rarely delivers any real results? I'm Preston Brown, and I've built a 9-figure portfolio by following simple business formulas that anyone can use. In my new book, Your First Million Made Easy, I reveal the exact system that I've used to generate hundreds of millions in revenue, and it's frankly a system that works in any industry, with any business, and yes, in any market. The good news, it's not about hustle. It's not about running or working or struggling. And what it is about, creating money instead of just earning it. Because earning money is slavery, while creating is freedom. It's about stopping the cycle of managing by crisis and building a business that doesn't depend on you. Transforming your business from a high-paying job to an asset that generates money even when you're not there. Whether you're a startup or an established company, this formula will transform your business into a profit-driven machine that gives you the time and freedom to focus on what truly matters. Grab Your First Million Made Easy now, and let's start the journey of financial freedom together. I look forward to being a part of your story. Welcome back to Problems to Profit. Guys, I am so excited today. We have a special guest. We have a man I admire. We have somebody who, fun story, all right? I've been coaching. I've been advising. I've been teaching leaders how to grow. And I taught a gentleman how to grow his business. A little simple home flipper, was having some struggles. And I taught him so well that he actually became a brand. He actually became, one of the larger guys in his market. And he started tying into different markets and this whole home flipper community. Unfortunately, I didn't teach him some of the things around character that were important, because he did go off in a different direction, but everything in life is a gift. Because one thing he did was grab me and say, hey, boss, mentor, come to this event. I want you to meet this guy. I want you to meet this dude that's larger than life, but still humble. And you always talk about humility. And I was like, oh no, another influencer, another guy with a big fancy car that's like wanting to compare sizes. And he was like, dude, you got to build a brand. You got to do this. And he was kind of advising me on building brand, even though we've gone sideways since. I show up, I meet this guy, Carlos, who is running an event. And I'd done that a few times. So I wanted to be respectful, didn't want to pull his time. But he made time for everyone there. He's got millions of followers, or maybe more than that. Like I'm not all over social media, like paying attention to that, but like lots of followers, lots of people wanting from him, everybody making asks, and he's giving time. But more importantly, I'm watching him do something that is absolutely magical, that gave me an unending respect that I cannot express enough appreciation for any entrepreneur. He's sitting there and coaching his kid on how to run a business. His kid is selling beaded bracelets. And when I see a man who is not just a businessman, who is not just a leader, who is not just an influencer, but is proudly demonstrating fatherhood, not from stage, but from character and purpose and intentionality, I see a guy who is living a walk that I would follow. And he's become a friend. We text back and forth on economic stuff. I'm down here in Scottsdale, Arizona, doing a resort, speaking for some folks. And I messaged him. I was like, Carlos, the podcast is blown up. You got to come on. I got to share you. Please give me an hour and a half to like just open your brain and dump some genius on all the guys that need you. He's a real estate guy. He's a Jesus freak like me. He's a businessman, entrepreneur. He's a guy where I don't have one lane with him. We can go in any direction. It is going to be a fun show because I have no idea where this is going. And without further ado, let me introduce Carlos Reyes. Brother, thank you so much for coming on the show. I'm so honored to have you here.
It's going to be a great time.
Problems to Profit is... It's a different kind of show. We like to bring people in and not just get the tactics, not just get the strategies, but more get who you are and what made you. I mean, profitability, the ability to make a profit, comes from the pain that you've led in life that you had to not just go around, but go through, that turned you into something more. How did you go from a problem child to a prophet in your own space to where you could generate the results you're generating? Would you mind sharing some of your story?
You know, brother, so my mom, this is perfect timing, by the way. God works in beautiful ways, right? I don't even like to say mysterious ways. I just like to say beautiful ways, right? That's something that I've been very conscious of also, is every single word that comes out of my mouth, you know? Because words have power, as you know. And for anybody that would like to look more into that, read a book called Hidden Messages in Water by Dr. I believe it's Emoto. Japanese doctor, ran a water experience, and to prove quantum leads that, and physically, that words have power, right? And how words affect water, and how our bodies are, you know, they're made out of 70% plus water. So if words have power in the exterior world, you know, what does that mean for us as human beings that retain over 70%, right, of our composite is water, and your thoughts and your emotions and your words, they all have an influence over your physical state and emotional state, right? So I've been watching my words now for quite some time, but perfect time. My mom came over yesterday. My mom is a 67-year-old Mexican woman who still struggles with English. She is an immigrant that, you know, came over here, worked the fields in the 80s, received amnesty through Ronald Reagan. And then, you know, went back, started a family in Mexico. I'm born in Mexico. I was born in Hermosillo, Sonora, raised in Guaymas, Sonora, about an hour and a half south of Hermosillo. That's the capital of Sonora, a northern state in Mexico, right? And she came over to the house yesterday for the first time in 3 weeks because she was a little sick. She was battling some kind of flu or something, right? So it took her a while to come over, and she comes over like 3 times a week. And, you know, out of respect for my family, she's like, you know, I just don't want to get anybody sick. I get it. Comes over yesterday. I ordered her favorite food, which is it's mariscos. It's like seafood. You know, a lot of Mexican out there. If there's any Mexican listeners or viewers, right, they'll understand. We order. We're having, you know, we're having some grub. We go out in the backyard. I light up a Cuban stick, right? Yesterday, I lit up a Monte Cristo number 2, actually. It's called a Petite Robusto Monte Cristo number 2, right? So I light up a little Cuban cigar in my backyard. We're sitting there talking for over an hour, my mom and I. And she's reminding me in my own backyard of when we were children in Mexico, and how sometimes for dinner, she would have to feel her way to put together a meal for us if we didn't have the money that day to buy petroleum for the petroleum lamps that we used inside the house. So that was just yesterday. You think about that, right? You want to talk about turning problems or challenges and adversity into profit, right? Well, that's where I come from. I come from dirt floors and dirt roads in Mexico where, you know, you don't have running electricity. You don't have running water. You wash your clothes in the backyard on a washing board, and then you hang it. You have a back house to use the restroom. You know, if you're going to go use the restroom, you're showering with buckets of water. You know, you get water whenever the guy in the truck with the big old container in the back comes up to that part of the neighborhood once a week, maybe, you know. Like, those are the kind of problems that I grew up with. And, you know, my mom wanted better for us. And this was one of the biggest challenges I've ever had, right? I think I was around the 2nd grade. My mom had already left my father, right? Because in Hermosillo, which is the capital, my mother literally left him when I was like in the 1st grade because he was abusive. You know, like he would come home, coked out, drunk, you know, looking for a man underneath the bed when my mom was just sitting there trying to raise 2 boys, right? And then, you know, being the out of her very consistently. My mom finally said enough, right? Relocated us an hour and a half south with my grandparents. And then we were struggling so bad that there was days where, you know, we wouldn't eat food unless we figured out how to get it. You know, that was very, very difficult to grow up in. Yeah, man, like, you know, that wasn't, it was very hard. It was very, very, very hard. And I wouldn't wish that upon anybody. So, but this was the most difficult time in my life where my mom she has this talk with my grandfather and my grandmother and says, hey, we're not going to make it down here. Remember, now my mom had already worked as a younger woman in California on the fields and received amnesty, right? Received paperwork. And so she had already had that seed in the back of her mind that, you know, there's a better life over there in the other side, which is the United States of America, right? On the other side of that border, there's a better life. And this is not it. My children have very, the success rate of my children here is little to none. So she has this chat with my grandma and my grandpa and says, hey, can you watch my kids while I go over to the other side and try to make it happen, try to make something happen for my children. Can you watch them? And then my grandpa and my grandma were, you know, as great grandparents that they were, they say, yeah, we can do that. That's no problem. We can do that. You know, when do you plan on coming back, right? And her answer was, I don't know. That was actually very hard for me, right? I don't know. And, you know, I'm going to call, we didn't have a phone. So if she was going to call, she would have to call like my aunt down in the city and relay messages and, you know, send letters and things like that. You know, this was the 90s, early 90s, you know, there was no social media, you know, things like that. So that right there, being without my mother, you know.
How old were you at this time?
Second grade, whatever that is, maybe 5 or 6.
Yeah.
So
old enough to realize.
Old enough to realize, you know, it's like, why is my mom leaving? Yeah. What did I do? Right? Like, why does she not like me? Does she not love me? You know? And then your grandma's sitting there trying to explain that, no, she's doing this for you because she loves you. You know, a child, you know, how do children spell love, right? Time. Well, the only thing we know is time. We don't know all the other sacrifices that our parents have to make on a day-to-day basis to provide and protect us, right? So the fact that she took her time away from me was sending me a message, man, my mom doesn't love me, you know? That was a very difficult time for me. That was some of the most difficult times. Eventually, praise God, you know, my mom being the woman that she is, the warrior that she is, you know, she figured it out. Brought us over the first time to California. It didn't work out very well. By the way, the first time we crossed over to California through San Isidro next to Tijuana was through a sewer canal. And then we, like, all that sacrifices and all that waiting, and we only lasted about a year in a small town called Escondido, California in San Diego County before we financially were just bankrupt and had to go back to Mexico. Then we went back to Mexico. Here goes another, 2 years, a year and a half. And then here goes my mom again saying, hey, I'm going to go and try this again, but in another city, which is Phoenix, Arizona, right? So here we're running the same play again. And then my mom comes over to Phoenix. She works the fields here, picking strawberries in 120 degree weather. And then, it's like, actually, no, it wasn't strawberries. It was rosales, which is like roses from the rose bush with the thorns. It wasn't strawberries. Strawberries was over in Cali. So roses, she was getting roses and putting them together, out here in 120 degree weather. So fast forward a year and a half, she comes back for me first. She pays a human smuggler $25 in Nogales, Sonora to get me through a hole in the fence in Nogales. I cross over to Nogales, Arizona. She's waiting for me at McDonald's. Boom, we come up to Phoenix, and then she starts my paperwork process in 1996, immigration, right? In the early 2000s, I get a work permit, and then a year later, I get my residency, and then in 2012, boom, I get my citizenship, and then I started my business officially in 2013, right after I got my citizenship, because I felt, less fearful, more secured,
Thank you so much for sharing. I've had several guests on here now, and the best stories are the ones where people actually take you through what you can feel. And like, I can feel your story, bro. And I know anyone listening can feel that. It's easy to judge a story when you see the ending.
Yeah.
When a guy sees a guy standing in lights, he's on a stage, you're like, oh yeah, that guy's lucky. He's Lucky Sperm Club. Whatever, right? Like we make up stories for it. When we hear the story from the beginning, and then we hear about the ending, judgment is replaced by inspiration. Can we talk a little bit about what you're doing now? Because I want people to hear from you what I got to see. And by the way, your story, which I've heard once before sitting in an audience, but now hearing it again and thinking about watching you with your kid, watching you with those beads and like the beaming look on your kid's face about like making a living, earning some money, like and the entrepreneur journey, like your mom not stopping believing, like it all clicks. It makes sense. Like I get what makes you you. I get the software that creates Carlos. Like, but let's talk a little bit about like where are we now? Like where is Carlos now? Like the name and lights, the brand.
Here's my biggest accomplishments in life, retiring my wife October of 2016, and then retiring my mother in March of 2017. So those are my two biggest accomplishments in life, being able to retire my wife so that she can take care of my children or our children, and being able to retire my mother as a thank you for your years and years and your decades of hard work and sacrifice, right? And for anybody out there that's watching and listening, right? I know, are you guys Latino, Mexican?
Yeah.
Well, that's probably why you guys understand, right? Look at, they know what this means, right?
And by the way, Carlos is talking to my camera crew in the background, and my camera crew in the background sitting back here crying, listening to the story, because like you can feel it. It's palpable in the room.
They understand, because are you guys first generation? Yeah.
Hey, by the way, Carlos, I'm Latino too, bro. I live in El Paso. I'm so Mexican. My last name's even Brown, bro.
Yeah, I know, right? So here's my story in the business world. I've been grinding, man, since I was a little boy. My first job was selling bread in Mexico, door to door in the neighborhood. Then my second job was bagging groceries at a retail, one of the biggest retail chains in Mexico called Ley, L-E-Y. Mm-hmm. Right, I was a grocery bagger, with my little hat and my apron, and I would bag groceries, take it out to the trunk, boom, ask for a tip, and that's how I would make, money as a 10-year-old, 9 and 10-year-old, right? So I've been grinding most of my life. One thing about us Mexicans, man, we don't run from work. You know what I mean? We don't run from work. We run to work, right? We run towards the work, right? Mm-hmm. So I've never been afraid of hard work, especially watching my mom work 2-3 jobs at the same time. For me, that's just like, it's just second nature, it's natural. So, I tried a couple different things, I tried merchandise for a very famous singer back in whenever he came out of Tucson, a guy named Luis Coronel, young guy, right? So I was doing all his merch early on. I was doing his merch, right? And then something happened where I wasn't my business acumen wasn't where it needs to be. And I came up with this idea of doing merch, and we did that for a little while, but I had no documentation. So eventually those individuals were like, hey, we'll take it from here. Right? So it's like documentation beats conversation. So get everything in writing, no matter what you do, right? Even if it's a friend or a family member, get it in writing. Mm-hmm. Get it in writing, no matter what the agreement is, what the proposal is, whatever, get everything in writing. I learned that really early.
The power of the spoken word is only challenged by the power of the written word.
I love that. It's not even a handshake anymore, right? Yeah. So anyway, I was going to make it big there, and then I didn't. That went south. I didn't know what to do. So then I started flipping cars. I met Sal.
Is that where you got the big muscles from? You just like turning them over?
Flipping the cars. Yeah. No. At the auction, right? So started flipping cars, and that went extremely well. Next thing you know, I'm like, man, what else can I flip? And then I started flipping houses, 2013. Started flipping houses, started to learn what wholesaling was. And I started doing a lot of deals. And then in 2016, I started to do national deals. I started to wholesale nationally, Vegas, California, Texas, right? So I started wholesaling nationally. And then I started to physically fix and flip houses in my own backyard in Vegas and California around 2016 also. So everything just started coming together very well. And then in 2018, 18, we started to launch other businesses with all of the profits that we were making in real estate. We launched software as service. We launched a solar company. We launched a medical company. We launched a virtual assistant company that is still, running to today, right? Very good. And we own that from the ground up. So we launched all these other businesses. And then we started to get into the blue collar industry around 2021. We started to get into the blue collar space.
When you say blue collar, what does that mean?
Plumbing, roofing, HVAC, painters, landscapers, demo companies, pool companies, right? So we started to get into that space because we had learned how to run, how to structure and operate, how to architect business with all these other businesses that we had launched, that now we started to, get some equity or consult for equity or just consult, period. And we started to, just help out all these other companies in the blue collar space, right? Like I know that if you want to make, hey, here, let me reverse engineer a roofing company right now in front of you. If someone wants to make $3 million in gross revenue in the roofing space, right? I know that they have to sell 193.5 roofs this year to get to $3 million. See, at 15.5 a roof or a unit, you know what I mean?
You want me to reverse engineer a pool company, a pool servicing company for you? I built one because all of the ones in my town sucked. Like we couldn't get them to show up on time. You couldn't pay enough. Like there was.
So you know about blue collar too. You're in the blue collar space. Okay.
Absolutely.
Well, we're in the blue collar space.
I did it on accident.
Yeah.
And then I opened a pool servicing company by hiring the other pool servicing companies that didn't do a good job, guys, because I figured I'm going to go and manage these guys better than anybody else can. I'm going to go and pay them a little better than anybody else can because I understand inflation changes markets. I mean, a salary is literally just a link to the lifestyle that job should give to the person. So I re-looked at salaries a little faster than my competitors, and then I put it together, and I was like, well, shit.
Incentivized and,
my pool is not going to pay for this. So you know what I did? And this is for anyone that wants to open a pool servicing company because, I don't care. Go steal my secrets.
Yeah.
It's fun. I went on the MLS. Like, go get a realtor friend. Go on the MLS. Look for every poor son of a bitch that's bought a home with a pool in the last 30 days. You know what? They are in a level of confusion that they have never been in because that is what moving brings them. And go offer them free service for 30 days on a contract, cancel anytime in the first 30 days. And after that payment comes, it is a gold mine. You're going to get 8 to 9 out of 10 of those customers that are going to stay with you. So we just gangstered it up to a couple hundred accounts. And now my pool is serviced and it pays me $20,000 a month.
MRR.
Yeah.
Monthly recurring revenue.
Amen.
Right? See, but you're leading with value, which is the way that you should, right? That's what's going to separate you from everybody else.
And I don't need the $20,000. I needed my fucking pool service, bro. My pool couldn't get service. Now it is serviced 3 times a week.
I love it. Good job, bro. Hopefully by a Mexican. No, I'm just joking. We service everybody. No, maybe.
You know what? I like to say that nobody's perfect. Jesus is not involved, but Jesus is.
Okay, there you go. See, we dominate. God works, like I said, in beautiful ways. Like here I am helping first generation Mexican American business owners that are taking over the family business in the trades right now. That's what I really wanted to tell you since the last time we met. Watch this. As you know, praise God, from 2017, April 2017, all the way to 2024, I've been speaking throughout the country, right? In Atlanta, New York, right? LA, we're all over the place. Vegas, all over the place, right? So my, I would say my network of beautiful, amazing human being white folks got to see me first. Mexicans didn't even know who I was until recently, by the way.
Really?
I promise. Think about it, right? I've Ed Milet, good friend of mine. Annie Priscilla, good friend of mine. Brad Lee, good friend of mine. The way I became friends with those folks was I was speaking on the same stage before or after. The last time that I spoke before Ed Milet was in Atlanta, Georgia. A guy named Ken Jocelyn was throwing an event out there. And I spoke right before Ed. So I was always here. Another time I spoke before Ed, Ken Clothier was throwing a mastermind event in La Jolla. I spoke right before Ed. Spoke spoke right before Ed and spoke right before, like literally like 2 slots before, right before Jesse Itzler.
Wow.
Yeah. So I made my name in the speaking circuit.
You know,
Not even in the social media world.
You're blowing my mind a little bit that like you started with the Gringos.
I started with the Gringos, bro, but because it was never my intention to do, it was just like, hey, I'm just going to be the best version of myself, give it to the world and see what happens, right?
No, and I love that, but like, it's funny because like one thing that I have found, and I'm from El Paso, Texas, so like we're 79 to 82% Hispanic every day of the week, depending on what Fort Bliss is doing that week. And you know what I found about being a white guy in El Paso?
Yeah.
Like growing up, I didn't know I was fucking white. Like honestly, until the race came out a few elections ago, I didn't like identify as a color at all. Like
there is no race.
Exactly.
There is no. If you live in that world and that mindset,
there was no thought about it. But one of the things I love about the Hispanic culture, which is why you're surprising me right now with you resonated with the white guys first, probably just because they saw you first, because your story's beautiful. It inspires anyone. But in El Paso, I am not a minority. I realized this very quickly. Like it's 82% Hispanic, and then everybody else in that like 18% is what? Black, white, Asian.
So you're a minority.
No, I'm not a minority. You have the Hispanics, and then the rest of us are treated like the exotics. There's no minorities in El Paso. You have Hispanics and exotics.
You technically are the minority in El Paso.
Absolutely, I'm the minority. I'm just not treated like a minority. I thought being a minority was a good thing.
You're treated like family.
I'm exotic. They're like, hey, we got the white Mexican. Bring him too. Like there was no minority. Like it was like, oh, bring the white guy. He's funny. Like
we love all people. Mexicans love all people. We love all people. You know what I mean?
It is the most accepting, heart-centered, family-oriented culture.
Thank you.
And when somebody that's like you blows up, which you have,
thank you, bro.
I would expect that. I mean, they have to be now gravitated. Maybe the white guys saw you first, but I mean, if I'm a Hispanic guy looking at Carlos Reyes, I'm going to be like, holy f***, I can do it too. Like if that guy can crawl through the fucking sewer and now he's out like crushing it, building businesses, like buying properties, I can do it too. Like,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, watch this. We're going to get to the good part of the story, right? So here, Ed, my lad, the last time he messaged me was December 27th. What did he say?
What do we got here? You came up in my morning prayers. Just want to remind you I love you. Wow.
Yeah,
I don't know Ed, but like I want to know that guy. That's cool as shit.
He's a phenomenal human being, right?
I've seen him speak once, but like
what here? I'm telling you, the Gringos knew me first, right? Before the Mexicans. What's this? Last thing Andy Frisella said to me was what on January 25th.
And I apologize.
Go ahead, read it.
I don't even know who Andy Frisella is, but I'm sure the listeners
First Form. He has a company called First Form.
Is this you right here? Love brother?
Oh, he is right there.
Oh, okay. Smoked it last night?
Nope, on top of that. Thank you.
Thank you for the Monte Cristo, bro.
Yeah.
I probably should have read those in order.
The other way, right? So, he was. I sent him a Cuban little, tree. And,
I love it.
You know what I mean,
that could have gone a lot of different directions.
Yeah, for sure. So, what I'm saying, right, is I made a name for myself in the speaker circuit, which was predominantly white, the, Thrives of the world, with Cole Hatter, who's a brother of mine, through Clever Summit, through Cody Sperber, who's a brother of mine. And these guys, I've learned so much. First of all, I want to let you know, I've learned so much from Cole Hatter. I've learned so much from Cody. I was talking to Cody when I got here, right?
Yeah.
Because those guys have poured into me. Like these white people have poured their love and their knowledge and their experiences into me, right? And then my wife and my mother specifically was like, when are you going to help our people? When are you going to concentrate on teaching our people? They kept saying that, right? And as you know, I was already helping people build multiple 7-figure companies from 2018 all the way to 2024. You got people out there that like even in the real estate world alone, like Tiffany and Josh High and Eric Klein and a lot of these these individuals that I've helped throughout the years, right, build multiple 7-figure companies, right? My mom and my wife were just like, when are you going to concentrate on doing that for Mexican Americans?
Yeah. Well, and one thing, like living in a Hispanic town, It is interesting, like the relationship to money. Like I've traveled a lot now, so I didn't, You know, now, like in El Paso, if I saw like 20 white people in a parking lot, I'd be like, ooh, shit, is there a meeting or something? What the fuck is going on? Like, I would have been a little nervous about that as a white guy, okay?
Yeah.
Now I have lots of friends all over the place, and I think just as a culture, like kind of the American, Western gringo, if you want, we're more mind-centric. We're more logic-driven. We're more like financial, transactional, whatever. We're thinkers, right?
I get it.
Like, and one thing I love about like the Hispanic culture is it's more heart-centered.
Yes.
It's more community-centered, which if you can bring those two things together and you can bring the logic and the mind and the financial and you can add to it the heart and the character and the community.
And the work ethic of that culture.
The power is infinite when combined. Either one is like, you know.
Well, I want to bridge the gap. That's what I'm doing. So I finally, you know, a year into, it's like it's God's timing. You know, we launched a movement. I'm not even calling it a brand, or it's just a movement. It's called empresarios. You know what that means? Empresarios?
It's good. Emperor?
Like, no, entrepreneurs.
Oh, really? Okay.
Empresarios in Spanish is, you know, it means like business people that operate businesses.
Cool, my tribe.
That's right.
I'm learning to work for my tribe.
Yeah. So what I wanted to do, right? I want to help Mexican Americans specifically. Now I'm always going to help everyone, and I have like All In Nation for everyone, right? That's where you saw the event, all the events that I've thrown from All In Nation.
Let's plug it. Let's plug it. By the way, like, are you still doing events?
Yeah. AllInNation.com. Yeah,
All In Nation, and we should plug that because
you've been to them.
I went to one of the events, and it was very good. Like if you're in real estate, it is a great place to go network, to go meet people, and you guys do a really good job too.
Thank you.
Like I mean, you put on like there. Sometimes you go to an event and you're like, oh God, why did I waste the time? Why did I leave my kids?
High energy.
Yeah, you leave there and you feel good.
High frequency.
You know?
Right. Yeah. And the people that we attract, for the most part, I would say 80 to 90% of them are also operating that way, or they're looking to become that way. Right. So I got All In Nation, which has been a blessing. Right. And then now we launch Empresarios. We launched Empresarios literally, our first event was 3 weeks ago. And we had Mexican American business owners that have been operating painting companies and landscaping companies and all roofing companies and every company, plumbing company, every company you can think of. Because guess what? Mexican Americans, right? We run the trades. That's where we are. We're not in real estate. We're not in major financial institutions. We're in the trades. We're in the pool the demo companies, right? So guess what? I'm like, you know what? My mom and my wife.
Can we dive into that for a second? Yeah. Because I want to swerve a little bit, like, and people need to understand this. Like I do a lot of economic updates. I like to try to put out their stuff, and you're what you're saying. By the way,
you're a brilliant financial mind.
Thank you.
You really are.
Thank you. I study that. It's what I'm passionate about.
I got to spend more time with you so that I can become more financially brilliant.
I'll make it simple. I have some simple formulas. I mean, we can spend more time together, but let's do that surfing, and I'll show you like 5 or 6 hacks that make it easy. Do it. But on something that I think people need to know, because you said something that's true. You said Hispanics dominate the trades, and especially in the South, they do. Like maybe you go
Southwest
up to like
region for sure.
Maybe you go up to like I don't know Maine, and you got Texas, some white guys
from Texas all the way to California. Like we dominate.
And everybody has heard on the news in the last few years these words: structural inflation. Structural inflation. People don't know what it means. People are like, well, what does that mean? Structural inflation. Does that mean my houses, the walls are going to get wider? No, it doesn't mean that. What it means is there's inflation built into the system. And the reason that is happening is because we have over generations told every human being to become a fucking tech entrepreneur, a doctor, a lawyer. We've told them to be everything but the unsexy job of plumber, painter, sheetrocker, electrician, HVAC person. And so like, I love that you're saying like, Hispanics dominate the trade, because one of the things that I think the Hispanic population needs, and we'll clip this for you because I'd love for you to share it to your tribe, is they need to know that as dominant players in that space, it's their time. It's not going to stay just Hispanic because we need it. We have not kept up with housing supply since '08, not even by birth rate. We're 500,000 units short since '08. That's factoring out an open border. That's factoring out migration from high tax state to low tax state, which means the next generation of leaders in the most significant areas that we need growth is who? It's Hispanic people. Guys, it is your time. It is time to, yes, follow Carlos, learn from him, but also grab a few of his fucking gringos and be like, all right, how do I get mind-centric and dominate this because it's my fucking time?
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
So
one other thing that is also going to make it their time. Their careers are less subject to the risks of AI, quantum computing, and robotics than any secretary, doctor, lawyer, or anything else. So you guys are kind of leading the charge. How much can you generate in wealth and income by understanding this right now?
You know what? Let's do that again, just for anybody that missed that right there. Hey, if you're a Mexican-American business owner out there, especially in the trades, listen to what Preston just said. Go and repeat that.
If you are running a trade where you are hands-on, where you are doing labor, you are less subject to the risks that AI presents in the next 2 to 10 years, that quantum computing presents in the next 2 to 10 years, and that robotics presents in the next 2 to 10 years. That is a triple threat that is going to decimate employees across the gambit, and you are at less risk. You are also way too rare and dynamically sought after due to the structural inflation we just mentioned, because there is not enough of you, which means you need to learn to be communicators, creators, and teachers so that you can share what you've learned. Hopefully while doing that, hiring more people, expanding your brands, franchising your companies, growing so you can solve one of society's single greatest problems, which is housing today. What's really cool about what Carlos is saying is you are also disproportionately Hispanic. You are more Hispanic than anything else. Yes, there's a few white guys out there. Yes, there's a few Asians out there. Good for you. You're f***ing included. Yes, there's a few black guys. I'm proud of you too. But most of you guys are Hispanic.
In the trades.
In the trades. Most of you all are Hispanic. It is your time.
I keep saying it. I say es nuestro turno. It's our turn, right? And this is why I keep saying that. This is my biggest purpose right now that has me on fire, right? Because it's God's timing, man. It's like everything, the way that it's all coming together, I had to go learn personal development, business scaling, right? Fall on my face, gain the necessary experience and wisdom to be able to bring it back to the tribe, a hero's journey, right? And then this other side, what God was having me go through the problems, or I call them challenges, right?
Gifts.
He had me learn the lessons, gain the experience and wisdom. And you know what God was doing on the other side? First generation Mexican American business owners are now taking over the family business. So it's the perfect storm.
So that let's stay there. 85% of businesses that stay in business, that the owner's able to survive with. Like, we know that 96% of businesses fail in the first 10 years that they're open. Okay?
97%.
Oh, shit, it's gone up. Great. Okay, so 85% of businesses shut down with the original owner. So when the owner retires, the business closes. That is a much, much lower percentage in heart-centered, family-oriented, Hispanic-cultured businesses. It is your time.
We take over the business.
Yeah.
We take over the business, right? I just read a stat the other day. Watch this. Look at this. Now you're talking my language, right? There it is. Throughout history, the answer used to be to hand the business over to the kids, right? Those times are changing. These days, only about 30% of businesses transition from one family generation to the next. 30%. The kids don't want that's plumbing business. Well, they want to dance on TikTok, and even if plumbing makes millions.
Let me point something out, because I truly believe that, you know, what we're saying is factual, it's accurate, it's true, and look into it. But if you don't take advantage of your time, somebody else will. Go look at all of the advertisement that Grant Cardone, who has turned himself into a fund, he's now old white money. A, he's old. B, he's white. I don't think he's a bad guy. I think he's a great guy. I think he's teaching a lot of good. I'm not knocking Grant here, but old white money is running around wanting to buy Hispanic trade-based businesses in mass. So if you don't recognize that it's your time, some old white money is going to take it away and make it their time. And I'm not saying that to trigger you. I'm saying that to say, wake the up. Why do you think there's funds out there acquiring HVAC companies, acquiring plumbing companies? Because they see the economic need. And yeah, you may sell, you may make a few bucks, but if you sell right now, instead of learning to automate, learning to scale, following the leaders out there that can actually help you grow that business and turn it into something that can be generational for your family, you're giving it all to somebody else that will make it their time. It is 100% the time for those industries, the trade-based industries, to win. Currently, you have control. That doesn't mean you will keep it if you do not recognize this.
Here's the other stat that should be staggering to some people, right? Mexican Americans, we don't own much in this country. We don't own much in this country. What do I mean by that? Well, we own about 1.2 to 1.6% of all active small to mid-sized businesses in America. And that stat or that ratio is even lower with assets such as real estate and other passive wealth generating vehicles. You get what I'm saying?
I do.
So we don't know how to own businesses. We don't know how to run businesses. We don't know how to scale businesses. We don't know how to exit businesses. And we don't know how to own assets. So that's another thing that I am going to do for the rest of my life is I am going to bridge that gap between where we are and where we need to be. Because by 2030, we might no longer be considered a minority, and by 2050, we might even be going head to head for the majority.
It's highly likely. And
is that firing you guys up in here? By the way, you guys are all getting fired up, right? It's true. That's what's happening now.
As an economist, look, if we go to like 2200 or 2300. There won't be whites and there won't be Mexicans and there won't be blacks and there won't be Asians, because at some point we're all going to look very similar. Like we are so interconnected in the world that you're going to see kind of everybody's going to be kind of like tan brown or something.
Look at you and I, bro. We're
gorgeous. We have everything in common. Well, obviously, smoke shows here. Yeah.
No, seriously, you and I. Why do we connect to the level? You and I connected, and we've stayed connected.
Yeah.
Well, it's the ideology, who we are, has nothing to do with our color or background. We probably come from completely two different opposites of the world, and I'm not talking about geographically.
Yeah.
I'm just talking about from everything, economically, everything, upbringing, right? So at the end of the day, here's what I want everybody out there to know. Our movement, empresarios, it's not an anti-white movement. You know what it is?
And I wasn't implying
No, I know that. I know that. But watch this. It's an anti-ignorance movement.
Amen.
So
the key is productivity.
Ignorance has been our biggest oppressor for centuries in this country. Financial literacy, credit building, business scaling, right? Personal development. We, Mexican Americans, have never had access to those resources. Well, actually, we probably have had access to those resources, but we were never even aware that we needed to go look for those resources.
Well, and history repeats itself, because that's what's happening again right now. Right now, especially in the southwest of the United States, and with the onshoring of manufacturing throughout Central and South America, which is huge geopolitically, the Hispanic population, regardless of country, okay, has an amazing, incredible, dynamic power threshold. Like, as an economist, I don't really see race, I see productivity. But if we are going to look at it from like a race standpoint, or like, I don't even like that word, but if we're going to look at it from like a Hispanic standpoint, the opportunity is now yours, but it is also now yours to lose, okay? And if we're not looking at things on how can we go learn and earn the skills to maintain the thing we were blessed with. You were in the thing that nobody wanted to do, And now everybody wants to take it away from you because it just became the thing everybody wants. The solution to high prices, guys, economically, historically, has always been one thing. It's always been high prices. Why? High prices become high margins. High margins attract wealthy people who like to make money. They don't care who's got what they want. They go get it. And they're going to get a piece of it. You get to choose how much.
And that's why we need to continue to develop as human beings and business owners, right? So that we are very strategic with whatever moves we're making, not only for ourselves and our businesses, but for our families. You get what I'm saying?
Well, yeah. I mean, you and I get along because we're both, we're leaders, we're entrepreneurs, we're thinkers, but more importantly, I think we're both teachers.
I love teaching.
And we don't teach from a framework where we know it all. We teach from a framework where we are learning and constantly learning and discussing new things, and we're using what works. So we're allowing the data to drive forward results for the people that we care about. And so we've gotten along on that level and texted back and forth multiple times just as things are changing in the economy or whatever since I met you. But I think both of us have a similar mission. We hate ignorance. Like if there is one thing I hate, and I will use the word hate for that, it is ignorance. Because like stupidity, I don't have a problem with. No. If you're stupid, you're going to take care of yourself. You're going to knock yourself out of the race. Like, you know the difference between ignorance and stupidity?
Knowing and not doing and not...
They're the only two sources of pain. So if you're ignorant and you do something dumb and it hurts, you don't do it again, okay? If you're stupid and you do something dumb, you're dumb enough to do it again. No. Now, the problem now with remaining ignorant is this has happened before, just not in your generation. So you need to learn from the previous generations that have lost it before. Right now is the time. Like it was the same for the Chinese 30, 40 years ago. It was their time to step up and take it, and they took it. Right now, China is not a dominant player on the map because they're the cheapest anymore. They're now the dominant player on the map because they have the best manufacturers on earth. They have the most technically skilled people on earth. They are doing 33% of the manufacturing, and once you have it, it's hard to take away. It's cheaper to do it everywhere. The problem is you can't get the experts and the professionals. Guess who the next chapter is? The next chapter is the Hispanic population. The next chapter is the people in the trades in Central and South America. The next chapter is the manufacturers throughout Mexico, Central America, South America that are selling, producing, and creating. But it's yours to lose. You don't have to keep the companies. You'll still work there. You can sell them to old white money.
Yeah. Well, and here's the other thing, right? By us doing what we're doing with this movement, which is developing Mexican Americans, citizens that are in this country, right? Making them smarter, right? Making them smarter, making them better human beings, top tier, right? Personal development, business scaling, you know? Well, guess what? What does that do for this country in the future? It's going to make us better.
Yeah.
It's going to make us more competitive.
Well, that's the beauty of this country. Is this country's not looking at it. It's like, are you this way? Are you this way? Are you fat, thin, white, black, red, blue, male? We don't care. Yeah. Like we care about productivity and we care about the American
character.
dream.
We care about, mindset, right? That's what we care about. I mean,
you know the single thing that our country has that makes us dominant on earth?
Character?
No. I mean, yes, that too. But it's actually economically the top 3% of our population is so innovative that China, while it manufactures close to, I think it's 33% of the manufacturing on earth, it beats the next three leading countries combined.
We're the creators.
We created it, so they have to manufacture what we made. The problem is the bottom 97%. Now, if we could turn the top 3% into the top 6%, it would literally change the innovation state on Earth. And the way you do that is by doing this, is by talking, is by triggering other people and getting them to think. That's why I'm so excited to have you on the show, man.
For sure. I told you it was going to be a good one.
I'm jazzed,
we're
bro.
Fired up.
Look, what have we gotten into? We've gotten into struggling your way to success. We've touched on race. I mean, that's a trigger word too. Like we've hit on race. We've gotten into business. We've gotten into money. We've gotten into opportunity. We've gotten into opportunity being stolen. I mean, we're hitting some buttons, bro. Like, I hope you guys are hearing what you could lose, but might make.
That's amazing, brother. And, I feel like, again, whether you vote red or blue, right? You have to be excited for what's going on with the economy? I feel like the economy is finally kind of moving again. I feel like we were stuck for about 1.5 to 2 years. So you have to be excited for what, the opportunities that this economy right now is creating for many people.
Yeah, I'm very bullish on the next 3 to 5 years.
There you go. That should tell everybody something.
I'm very concerned on the next 6 to 10 years.
Depending on how that goes
AI,
down. Yeah.
quantum computing, all of that.
Yeah.
And not even politically.
Yeah.
Politically, the pendulum can swing. We could have elected Kamala. We could have had more crazy deep state shit. However, you saw, people don't vote for who they like or don't like. They vote against who they don't like. But they vote themselves out of pain. That's what they do.
The economy was probably the number one factor
emotional
in this case,
pain. Yeah. They had too much emotional pain under Trump because he talked like a business guy, not a politician, and they didn't understand it. Well, they got financial pain under Biden.
Yeah.
We could have elected Kamala. You'd have got more financial pain because they didn't know what they were doing. But America had it to lose. Look at Canada. They've lost 20% of their GDP. What I worry about for Americans is they are going to, this is the 7 years of feast. We're in biblically, you look
7 years
Egypt,
of feast.
We're in the 7 years of feasting right now because we're about to come back. We are going to come back. Okay, things are happening right now.
They keep saying America's back.
So let me explain how they're saying it because they're saying it a little bit wrong. America had a car accident economically. We are no longer in the car accident. We've been driven to the hospital. We're walking around with our little thing and our IV bag, we're moving again, but we're not back to the sprinter runner badass that we were. So this is a recovery year. I'm more bullish on the economy 2026 than 2025. I think we're going to see incremental gains. I think we're going to see fantastic things in 26. This is, of course, barring an actual stock market recession, which would cause the Fed to pivot.
Black swan events.
Yeah, black swan event, which could happen. The labor data was lied about for years under the Biden administration.
A lot of things apparently have been lied about.
Yeah, there's been some misdirection, but we're in the 7 years of feasting. So for all of you kings and queens out there, all of you pharaohs, you know what happened after the 7 years of feasting, right? If you didn't hoard your grain, you starved. Okay, because the 7 years of famine is coming.
Wow.
And the 7 years of famine is coming to everybody that doesn't understand, at least conceptually, to make a lesson on how to pivot, entrepreneurship. When our people get disrupted, and AI will disrupt us. AI will disrupt us because, let me, can I dive a few things into you and then I want to get your perspective?
Yeah.
AI, quantum computing, I'm just going to call all of it AI to keep it short, right? It's going to disrupt anybody with a simplified job description. It is going to take those jobs away.
Like the order taker at McDonald's?
He's gone.
Got it.
Okay. The secretary, they're gone. The clerical worker, they're gone.
Wow.
The property manager, they're gone. Loan officers, 90% of them gone.
Translators.
People answering phones, gone.
Translators.
Gone. Not necessary. Gone, gone, gone. So you're going to see a significant percentage of the population of Earth over a decade going away, and it's going to hit in the industrialized countries first because we have the most tech. So anyone who does not understand entrepreneurship is going to live your story backwards. They're going to go, instead of from struggle and sewer pipes and selling bread and everything else to abundance, from the American abundance to struggle and sewer pipes.
To poverty, yeah.
Because you're not going to be ready for what comes in the famine years. Now, you're going to have 5, 6, 7 years, maybe more, that are good. And here's why. Do you know what Elon Musk and Trump are really doing?
Well, yeah. Well,
and I'm going to give you something you might not have heard.
Here's what I believe is going on. He's running the same play he ran when he took over Twitter or X. He went in there and
bigger than that.
He saw overlaps.
Bigger than that.
Really?
Bigger than the efficiency.
Okay.
We are in a global world. The efficiency thing is huge. It needed to be done.
For sure.
It's probably the biggest thing that's going to make the news. But Musk is doing something so much bigger than that for Trump. Trump in an inflation-rich environment would never play the tariff game because tariffs are inflationary.
For sure.
And we haven't seen significant tariffs actually hit, have we? Unless it's either to save an industry or unless it's to make other countries competitive,
make a deal.
Negotiate,
make
right?
a deal, yeah.
And or penalize a competitor power like China, which has not been significantly inflationary, okay? Lowering energy costs and everything else will support us more than that hurts.
Yeah.
You know what they're doing? Musk and Trump are bringing back American manufacturing. They're taking a lot of it from China.
Mexico.
They're taking a lot of it from, no, they're taking from China. They're taking from Mexico. They're taking from Canada. They're taking everywhere. They're making people come back here and work so that America is less significantly impacted. Everybody's going to get the impact when AI does take over. We'll have more people actually working.
That's right.
They're preparing for the famine stage. Nobody's talking about it because they don't understand how big this is.
Makes a lot of sense.
Think about it. The guy that's putting chips in people's brains, the guy that's got robotics actually working, the guy that's landing rockets and made electric cars driving themselves, might have a little bit of an idea of what that's going to look like.
Yeah. Well, he's a walking algorithm.
Yeah.
So he already knows, like, the way he thinks, that he thinks like a computer. You know, so he already sees 10 years ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do we, and this is just kind of a question, like, how do we pull people? How do we pull your tribe? How do we pull my tribe? How do we pull them into an area where we can show them enough of what's true to let them have healthy fear so that they wake up and realize you can turn your problems to profit before they hit you? How do we hit them like that?
Well, there's only a couple of ways to acquire, I would say, knowledge, right? I'm not a big fan of information because information's everywhere, right?
Amen.
But I'm a big fan of knowledge when there's inspiration involved. See, inspiration is different than motivation. Inspiration is in spirit. Something emotionally or spiritually hits you and makes an imprint on you and how you think and your perspective over life, right? And the way that you're going to operate and the way you're going to make decisions. So, you know, again, everything we've been saying today, there's going to be, like you said, there's an emotional trigger that's happening to anybody watching or listening to this, which will inspire them to start making the necessary right chess moves, right? So,
and I'd like to throw that question, not just to you because you're answering it beautifully, but also to the audience. What do you think is needed? Post it in the comments. Give us some feedback from you on what needs to happen. I mean, look, we'll take your ideas. Many hands make light work. Many thoughts make us smarter. Keep going. Sorry.
Yeah. No, that's what we have to continue to educate and to pour into people as much as possible, because again, there's only a couple different ways that people acquire the experience or the knowledge that they're lacking, and that's either through the learning tax, which is pain, right? Those losses become lessons, and then you learn the hard way. Or you learn it through a mentor, a coach, a community,
a podcast,
a book. Yeah, exactly. And then, it's like, wow, dude, that just what Preston just said makes a lot of sense. And I'm going to do my absolute best to avoid that speed bump that's up ahead of me,
Amen. And you touched on something a few times, and I want to really kind of frame it back, right? And if you don't mind, I want to take a little faith base too, because you're a Christian, I'm a Christian. Right, yeah. I'm not the most churchy Christian, and I cuss and sputter, but hey, I want to take as much forgiveness as Jesus offered, right? And you offered all of it, right? But you talked about the power of language. It was literally the first thing you said before you even went into your story. You went power of language, and I was like, yes. And then you said, I favor inspiration over information. And it makes me think of, it was a meditation that I had, and I was journaling, and some of this came out, and it was powerful, right? Do you know why we call spelling? Because the formation of words is casting spells into our lives, and it was powerful. And then there's a good book that you and I both read. It's a popular book. I mean, I think it's probably the best seller on earth.
Is it Power versus Force?
No, the Bible.
Oh.
But I love that.
Yeah.
Because that was the original. That was the original Power versus Force.
Absolutely. Well, a lot of personal development comes. It's almost biblical.
But let me savage information in what's the information age, kind of, right? Like, I want to savage information for people really quickly. There's a good part of that book, the Bible, where Jesus is just a story. Like if you're Christian or not, you can relate to the story. He's sitting there on a fast. It's a 40-day fast. And Satan the devil comes to tempt him. He's like, why not turn this stone into bread? Mm-hmm. And you know what Satan says? He says, or not Satan, you know what Jesus says? He says, get behind me, Satan. So I was journaling about that. And like, I love coincidences because a mentor comes to me and he's like, oh yeah, well, you know what Satan means? I was like, no, huh? Isn't it the devil? And he pulled up like an ancient, like, mm-hmm. dictionary, like not the dictionary wasn't ancient, but it was ancient Aramaic. Mm-hmm. Do you know what Satan means? Mm-mm. Crazy thought. Get behind me. Crazy thought. That's right. Your thoughts, the information that you've allowed to be fed into you, are the demons that will influence your life. That's right. Are the ones that will control your identity. I mean, the information coming at you to create nothing but fear. Like, inspiration is fear and love. Mm-hmm. And excitement and action. Mm-hmm. Information is the way to propel a demon through your mind and cripple you. And I think it's what has basically hypnotized society.
That's a really good point. And if you think about our programming, right, society, I don't care if you're black, white, I mean, the white kids listen to rap music, right? You see what I'm saying? Like, and there's a whole spiritual, emotional, energetic formula that goes into making that type of music to gain or to get a specific outcome from society. It's true, bro,
because as one of the white kids that just found the gym, I feel like I need it to work out. Like that rap music really helps me putting up weights, but it brings some anger. Yeah. Like it brings the anger to the weights. Like, if I listen to it, like I like my church music when I'm driving, it keeps the road rage down, it keeps all that. But the rap music like gets me angry. And like there's two flavors of pain, right? There's anger and then there's sadness, depression.
Well, just take a look at the hurts that, they're bringing these or this music into, and forget the hurts that is having a biological impact on you at that moment. They follow that by what, right? They follow that by words. They follow that, right? Like what's a rap verse out there that, the Quavo, like what were those guys called? Migos, right? This used to be a big song. It was like, get right with you. Hey, get right with you. Get right with you. F a bad B word, then I leave him. Like you see what I'm saying? Like, look at the words that these artists are saying to society.
Power and so much negative. And that's kind of what I was saying. I probably didn't frame it well, but like, I'm fairly new to rap. It does help me in the gym because of the beats and because of the anger and passion are a similar emotion, and so it helps me lift. But like, and put this in the comments too. If you got some good energy like rap songs, like I kind of need that.
There's a lot of good stuff out there.
Like I had my bebop and country shit, and
so
like
what were you listening to? What rap song or artist?
Oh man, I mean Eminem. It's like so dark, and I mean but I love the beats. I love the beats, dude. The beats help me, but like I need. And so to your point, like I listen to that stuff not working out.
Yeah.
I get dark, bro. I get negative.
That's disgusting. I couldn't even imagine myself. First of all, I don't know if you've seen the type of human being that Eminem has become over the years.
I have not.
He's a woke human being. You know what I mean? Like, that's why I'm like, dude, on principle alone, I won't even listen to your music. Just because of the human being that you've become, the spirit. Because at the end of the day, if you think about it, Preston, and you know this to be true, right? Everybody will think like, oh, we're human beings. We're human beings. I get it. We are human beings. But actually, more important than that, right? If you take it a level higher, we're spiritual beings having a human experience.
I agree with that.
So it's like the human being that you are, right? It's like, I'm good. I'm going to stay away from that.
Well, and your proximity can affect you. And while it has helped me in the gym, like if I get hooked on it and I listen to it too much, I haven't had road rage for years, and it starts coming back. And all of a sudden, I'm like cutting a guy off. Listen,
well, look what you said. Get behind me, Satan.
Get behind me, Satan.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's there. It's in the music. It's in the movies. It's in the Coco Melon. It's in the programming. It all has an effect. And what do we talk about? How do we start the show? Right? Everything has influence over us on a biological level. Hidden messages in water. See, it's full circle. It's full circle.
You're gonna mess up my workouts. I'm gonna have to go find some new rap. I might challenge you for some good beats, bro.
Bro, listen to There is, but I don't even listen to Christian rap. I listen to Revolution.
Okay.
Right.
You know what? After the show, we're going to connect.
Yeah, I'll give you my playlist. I listen to high frequency, good words. Right. It all matters to me. It all matters to me.
I love that level of
consciousness.
I wouldn't even call it consciousness. I'd call it diligence. It's consciousness too, but it's also like dedication and diligence, which I appreciate that about you. Because that's, one thing I really remember, I called you to vet somebody like that was kind of frustrating me in my life. And I just said, hey man, you know this guy, I know this guy. Like, hey, I don't want to gossip or talk, but I'm concerned about something like this. I want to know your opinion. And you could feel my frustration. And we both have beautiful gifts in business and everything else, but you immediately went like, hey bro, like you're probably right in where you're going, but you're wrong in how you're going there. And you watched my walk. And I appreciate that. And even like right now on the rap music, you're like, you're checking my walk. That's a beautiful thing that you do, bro. And it's something that everyone should do for one another.
Well, now you know why some of these guys are my friends, because I get to serve them at a level where maybe others can. They don't need money from me. They need spiritual intuition. You know what I mean?
We went into the Hispanic Heart Centered, so I'm going to steal some of your Heart Centered, bro. Like I love that. Like I'm not going to steal. We're going to change that.
I got enough.
I'm just gonna share.
My cup overflows. My cup definitely, praise God, overflows.
I love it, bro. That's why I wanted you on this podcast. Like I wanted people to feel you, and this has been a fun conversation.
It's been easy.
I've enjoyed just the back and forth. Mm-hmm. What? Can I ask you just kind of before we kind of start closing up? I want to go future pace. What are your initiatives right now? Where are you going? What are you doing over the next chapter? You have had a hero's journey walk through your life, like the way you're a husband, the way you're a father, the way you've retired your mom and your wife. I mean, I like that. My greatest accomplishments. You didn't go to business.
No.
I mean, that would probably be my greatest accomplishment if I really thought about it. But I might not have said it that way. No. I love that. No. But where are you going next?
Well, I have this new big purpose, for the rest of my life. And I'm just allowing, if you truly believe that you're living in a state of flow, then you got to let go and let God and just flow, wherever he takes me. That's what I do. I don't try to control just about anything anymore. I really do try to just go wherever God takes me, and right now it's like I got this new found purpose. And we'll see whatever he wants to do. And I hope that, these principles are in. There's man, how can I, provide the most amount of value to the world? How can I serve the most amount of people? How can I continue to build generational wealth for my family and help others obviously build generational wealth for their families? But it's and then how can I guard my time doing all of that? How can I be very efficient with my time doing all of that? Because two things.
It's a balance. It's almost a paradox, but you need paradoxes for truth.
That's right. I tell people this all the time. It's hey, guard your time, guard your reputation. Guard your time, guard your reputation always. Always. So that's what I'm focusing on right now. It's how can I serve the most amount of people? How can I help, people, just bridge the gap and financial freedom and personal development and consciousness and enlightenment and, being good husbands and being good fathers and living the absolute best life that we can live while we're here,
I love that so much. So I want to make sure I'm adding value because I can tell you're adding value to my listeners.
Oh, okay.
And I can tell you, you're a blessing.
Thank you,
brother. We're going
to
be pushing this through all my social medias. Now the podcast's hit, but it's kind of hit everywhere.
Yeah.
I don't know where that's going to land, and they're going to see you. They're going to follow you. But I also share this on all my social media.
Yeah.
And my social media is fairly large in El Paso. Mm-hmm. We've got a large Hispanic community. I want people to hear this from you because I really think your story is going to resonate. I think your truth is going to resonate. Where can they go as we're sharing the short clips to follow you?
Yeah, Carlos Reyes, CarlosReyes on Instagram, Carlos Reyes, or you can watch a lot of my content even on YouTube, like Official Carlos Reyes. What's funny about YouTube? I never cared about YouTube, right? And then my TikTok got taken down with like 250,000 followers earlier last year, but now that's already ramping up again. It's like at 11 point something organically, and YouTube's already at 40 something, organically, right? Instagram's at 431. Things are moving again, so it's a blessing. You can follow me on any of those channels.
They stopped censoring you probably?
I just learned how to say the truth. I learned how to say the truth from a neutral perspective. That way they can't be like, you're too over here, or you're too over there. I like to ask questions now, right? Because as you know, right, our mind focuses on questions,
I like that. That could be a whole nother episode of fun. I'd love to have you back on. Thank you so much for being on the show. And everyone, thank you for listening. Guys, we had a gift today. We had a blessing. Please go follow Carlos. Go follow his story. But more important than just following his story, last chapter, next chapter, duplicate his results. Become the problem today that becomes the solution and profit tomorrow yourself. Y'all have an amazing day on purpose. Thanks for watching.